separation, polarity, conflict, hatred where you wouldn't expect it, people bursting out in ways you didn't see coming, ways that don't make any sense to you. What is really happening, and how is this possible? Why are people doing this? This and more, and a story that I just came across, I will be sharing in this video to help you understand what's going on, and more importantly, help you deal with this when this happens to you or to someone close to you, or in your family or in your community, because it's really unsettling and most of us really have no clue how to deal with this. Even I'm sometimes like or get triggered. But I would like to share some experiences with you and some tools and some tricks, let's say, that can help you get through this. Like, subscribe, and share. Hi, my name is Lotfi, and in today's video I will be sharing with you my insights, my experiences and things I've seen and heard and read and experienced myself. So I'll just dive into it. We live in a period where there's a lot of conflict, a lot of division. We saw it with COVID, then the vaccine, now the war, and actually none of it really ended. Even though things started a few years ago, it's just one thing on top of the other. You see a lot of fear being spread. I saw a beautiful analogy. Somebody was saying people are scared about 31 degrees in the country being announced Celsius. I don't know how much it is in for those with the imperial measurements, and so there's all the fear like, oh, it's going to be 31 degrees, oh, be careful, danger, danger, danger. But at the same time, people are standing in line for hours and hours, sometimes even days at the airport to travel to Greece to spend a week or two in 35 degrees. Like, yay, it's 35 degrees, yay! And your response may be like mine, like, how stupid can you be? What's wrong with you? But that is when fear takes you over. You become blind. You cannot see things clearly anymore. Literally 35 is much higher than 31. And you see that in how the news is being presented, but also how the meteorological forecast, the weather forecast is being presented. If you see pictures from the early 2000s, you see a nice sun and then 31 degrees, 32 degrees, that is how it's going to be. Like, wow, we're going to have real summer here. We don't need to go on holiday because we have it here. We don't need to travel to another country because we can just dive into the river or the pond nearby. And now they showed red. When it starts to be 29, 30, 31, oh, it's red, it's danger. I live in Romania now, and we have this crazy thing from the government to instigate fear that when there is a little storm with tiny bit of thunder and some rain, your phone stops doing whatever it's doing and starts to do and it doesn't stop until you press the OK button. And now they've figured out that I do not speak Romanian for some reason, And now the message is in English. Like, danger, there is a weather alarm. There is dangerous weather with lightning. And seriously? We never had that. And we didn't have that much rain or lightning in the past year, but the alarms have been like, oh, hell is coming down. Where I remember in 2017, 18, we had literally hell coming down. Rain that was crazy. I mean, the weather changed from nice and sunny within 10 minutes to dark, lightning literally above us, explosions. You could hear buildings getting struck nearby and stuff. There was no weather alarm. And people are taking sides. And what triggered me today was to see a story from a friend of mine who is Russian from origin, I believe. And now I'm hesitating if Russian or Ukrainian, or Russian blood, Ukrainian, and then moved to Asia. I don't remember exactly. But then her brother decided to go to the Ukraine, and because he's a trained soldier and he wants to personally blow up the head of Putin. Well, Putin is not in the Ukraine, so going to the Ukraine is useless. and he lashed out at his sister and his mom and said horrible things to them, accused them of horrible things and making them responsible for what's going on between two countries. And we all know when there is war between two countries, usually it's not the people. We know for a fact that the Russians don't want war, but they're not allowed to speak out because they'll be imprisoned up to 15 years if they're against the war, even use the word war. It's politicians, it's people who are in power, or people who want power, or people who want more power, who are creating the mess. And of course it all starts with us not being clean, us being corrupt in certain aspects of our lives, having our darkness and our light, and those conflicts get translated in the outer world. And I have come to believe that the more you have polarity within yourself, the more you'll experience it in your life, in your daily life. The more you have anger and frustration in you, the more you'll experience aggression in your life. Up until end of last year, I still carried a lot of anger in me. Actually, up until this spring. And this would translate into having almost been killed multiple times crossing the street on a zebra, and experience the aggression from crazy drivers. Once I released that anger, and it took me a while before I could do that, because I have been dealing with this, being aware of the anger in me since 2014, and have been dealing since then with it. Once this was taken out, or at least most of it was out, I stopped experiencing this bullshit. And that is how things work. I myself have had less issues with certain aspects of the craziness in the past 2 years than other people, because of where they stood regarding certain aspects in their lives, in themselves, of course, and where I stood. And I could see the difference between me and other people, my friends. Depending on what we still had to deal with, we would experience life in a certain way. And this is not just related to the current situation, but the current situation of the earth is amplifying this, because we are in a phase of transition. And where there is change, there's often resistance from one part, and change means the end and the death of the old, or at least part of it, so that something new can be born, can be created, can come into existence, or can flourish. Maybe it was always there, but it was just a seed, and now it can start to bloom. And to sprout first, before it can bloom. And that's what we're experiencing now. So you may experience a lot of conflict and polarity with maybe your closest friends, your family, your own kids, your co-workers, the community you live in, maybe even between cities, villages, countries, races, gender orientation, or sexual orientation, I would say, sexual preference. You will see it everywhere. And already, I started by saying I will give you some tips and tools, and already gave you some. Maybe not directly, maybe didn't say it clearly, but you probably already figured out the things that you need to work on, and just realizing that you have to work on certain things is already a very big step. It's half of the path to walk towards change, towards a better life. Realizing that there's something you need to change. And then you start working on it, and then the change will come. But you need to be really committed to actually change, to really work on things, which means to really look yourself in the mirror, to really face your demons, to face your dark side, not to eradicate it, but to accept it. It's part of you. It's part of who we are. We have light and dark. There's no light without darkness. There's no darkness without light. So do you realize what's happening in you? The parts about yourself that you don't like, they're just part of you. But there's a difference between some part of you dominating you, or being part of you and you using that energy when needed. You choosing which energy you deal with. You utilize when you have to do something. Sometimes our darkest energies can be a fuel to be persistent, to be resilient, to be able to get something done. Sometimes the dark side is the thing that can protect you in a crisis situation. I know for a fact that I could kill somebody who would be about to kill a baby or a child. Not like, oh, he wants to kill a child, so I'm going to kill the person. No, I would fight to protect the child. But I would fight till that person would stop. So if the only way for that person to stop is death or severe harm, I'll go. I'll go till he stops. Not even for killing a child, raping a child. I'll go all the way, whatever is needed. That's what we call dark side, because then I'm somebody who's harming someone. Ooh, Lotfi, you're gonna harm someone. Ooh. Okay. Would you just go and sit like, I'm meditating, and me meditating now will stop that person from hurting that one? Well, as long as we haven't reached a certain level that our meditation, our thought can actually stop somebody from doing that, if you reach that level, you probably not even need to watch this video. You already transcended everything. You already evolved to 6D or 7D. But if you're watching this video, then you still have a lot to learn, just like me. A lot of practice to do. And then in extreme cases, extreme measures are needed. The first time I saw the darkness in me was in 2012, was the day after my first major breakthrough. I walked by the mirror and I looked in the mirror, I looked in my eyes and I stopped. And what I saw was two black holes with a lot of darkness. And I looked and I was like, what the fuck is this? And I stood there for a while and I saw all the darkness. That spread throughout hundreds of lives, or whatever numbers, but many lives, past lives. And then I took a decision. I said to myself, no, this life, I'm the healer, not the murderer, or the killer, or whatever I said. And I visualized this Native American I call them Indians, but they're not from India. Yeah, the head of a tribe, the shaman, with all his feathers and his colorful clothes, who's peaceful, who's sharing his wisdom. And that was basically me starting to change my path in life, consciously. Me joining that workshop that led to the breakthrough was a half-conscious decision. I felt something and I knew I had to act on it. I knew I had to go to this workshop. But then when looking myself in the mirror, then I became very conscious of the dark energy that is part of me, and that I could make a choice here to follow the darkness or to follow the light. So what I recommend you to do is to take a picture, a selfie of this part of your face, print it out in black and white, or use whatever graphics program that you use to make it black and white. I'll put a link in the description. It's called Canva. It's a free website. You can make a free account and it's amazing. It has the possibility to put a picture in, and then you click edit picture, and then it gives you the option to make it black and white, and choose the top, put all options, and then choose the bottom right option, and then just resize the picture so that you only see this part. And then take time sit and look into your own eyes. Why I say to make the print or at least have it on screen, because if you have a mirror, you can distract yourself by your eye movement and respond to certain things. But if you have a silent picture, you can even do it on your phone if your phone allows you to do that. I guess most phones now allow you to do that. And just keep staring at your eyes. And slowly you will start to see layer after layer. And you may start with the darkness, you may start with the sadness, with, let's say, all the negative things. And then you will also start to see the positive things. And just observing. No judgment, just observing and feeling. This will help you a lot to actually start to see yourself. Another thing is to meditate and to ground in whatever form or shape, to bring your inner peace, your inner calmness back. To be loving and caring for yourself, because only then you begin loving and caring for others. If someone is lashing out at you, is mad at you, is holding you responsible for what some dictator in some other country far away is doing, or even for something that's happening close to you, even for something you did because you acted in a way that was true to yourself, but that other person didn't really like that for whatever reason, then being able to have love and compassion for yourself will allow you to have love and compassion for the other and not get into an argument, not get into a conflict. This doesn't mean you need to accept everything. You can walk away, you can tell the person to just stop, that you will not accept this kind of abuse. Never take any abuse. Stand up for yourself. But no need to try to convince the other person that he's wrong, because that person will not see it. The person needs to come to this conclusion by himself. I've seen this so many times, whether it's the number of people who watch my videos on this channel, or the number of people who watched videos on my other channel, the aviation one, and also the number of people who react in a certain way. When in the aviation channel, which is my hobby, aviation is really one of my biggest hobbies, I talk about corruption in the industry and what it's leading to. Many are attacking me and saying I'm anti-Boeing and pro-Airbus, and that Boeing is American and is the best in the world and is whatever. But the facts are there. Boeing has been corrupt for many, many years and still is corrupt today, and blackmailing the US government and the Senate to be able to produce an aircraft and not having to upgrade safety measures because it would cost them more money. So money and profit over safety. Although this same aircraft killed 346 people a few years back. That people get mad at me and saying I'm a total fuck up because I'm pointing out the facts. So I stopped responding to these people. I just ignore them. I don't delete their comments unless they're really abusive. I just ignore it. And the moment I start to ignore this, I start to get less aggressive comments. I also chose to not always having to be the one pointing out corruption, pointing out the darkness. Sometimes just observe, and I've seen that there are others who are also doing this, so I'm grateful. There's this guy calling himself Maximus, and he goes even deeper than I do, down the rabbit hole, and exposes corruption, so that's fine. And he does it with a much better sense of humor than I do, so it's a gift for him. It's his gift, so I let him do it. So what I recommend you is to stay closer to yourself, true to yourself. And by being true to yourself, to see your light in your own light in your own darkness, and by accepting both and allowing both to coexist in the right balance for you, you will be not needing to convince others to change, but you will inspire them. And yes, it may take time for some people, but everything is moving much faster today than it was a few years ago, let alone decades ago. But your first priority, your first responsibility is to yourself. If you need help doing this, contact me. I'll work with you, I'll guide you, I'll share with you more in-depth techniques. I'll help you resolve your internal issues, heal your wounds. I will not heal them for you, but I help you to become self-sufficient, to heal your own wounds. Because I cannot walk the path for you, you need to walk it yourself. But guidance can help a lot. And I've had guidance for the past 20 years. And this has led me to be where I am today. That's why I do what I do today. Whether it's working at an NGO, helping to feed people in need, or doing the coaching and recording these videos and putting them out there for free, for you to watch, for you to get inspired, for you not to feel lonely. I do all these things because I am who I am today, because of all the work I've done, because of the things I've learned. Take good care of yourself, and see you in the next video. Like, subscribe, and share.